Alrighty, so I'm going to take you on a little artistic journey that I went through this last year. About a year ago, I started feeling like I'm sure a lot of you have felt, oh God, I'm going nowhere, I haven't changed, my work looks the same. You know, even though it was selling and, you know, some things came out really good, I was feeling frustrated. And I was feeling frustrated with my students as well. And the reason why is because we get a photo in our hands and we just we're married to that photo. I could see my students trying to match the colors exactly like they're in the photo. And the photos are never the real colors. You know, the camera never interprets the landscape or whatever it is that you're looking at the way it really looks. And you all know it because you've taken photos along the way that you say, oh God, I can't wait to see how this comes out. And you get it home and it's like, well, where is this? I don't even know why I took this photo. Because the camera just does not do justice to what it is you're feeling when you're in a space. And that was what was frustrating me, was that I was venturing into a new series. I have never been a landscape painter, ever. It never would. I'm an indoor girl. You know, I'm just not an outdoor girl. And so the landscape has never been something that has inspired me, but I wanted to try to get inspired by the landscape. And so these photos, I didn't even really have any photos of landscapes because I wasn't painting landscapes, so I didn't take photos of them. But every time I looked at a photo that I had, I was like, oh, this is dull. This is not going to excite me. This is not going to excite anybody. And so I decided that I was going to spend however long it took trying to figure out how to take a photograph, the composition of which I liked, and try either to bring back the feeling that I had when I was there, because that's really an important part of doing a good painting, is trying to bring back the reason why you took that photo. If you don't bring back the reason why you took that photo and you keep that in your mind throughout the entire painting process, your painting will fail. You have to have a concept and a reason why you are painting it. So that was one aspect of it. The other aspect of it was that I know that when I look at any photo that I take, I see color beyond what the photograph is showing me. But I still always kind of kept to the photograph. Like, you know, if the scene had a little bit of peach in it, I, you know, amped it up and made it gold and orange, but it was still along the same photo colors. And I wanted to learn how to break away from that, because I felt like until I did that, I was not going to be at the level of painting that I wanted to be at and that I knew I could be at. And so I started doing a lot of reading, a lot of research, really spent a lot of time just kind of exploring what everybody had written about this topic, about color theories and, you know, not complementary and analogous, not that kind of stuff, but getting deeper into color. And I invited my students to go along with me on this journey. And of course, they were so excited to go along this journey with me. And it was a remarkable journey. Every single student came away producing far superior work than they started with at the beginning of the season. And that was just so rewarding for all of us. And I too accomplished what I set out to accomplish, which was just the best. All right, so let me take you through a little bit of that journey. I'll take you through all the color studies that I did along the way and explain the whole process of where I came from. And then I will do a demo of exactly what it was that I was studying how to do. All right, so the first thing that I learned was that there are 4 basic elements to understanding color well and being able to manipulate color. It's not just understanding how colors work together. I always understood that. But it's how to manipulate the colors to make them do what I want them to do within a scene, within a painting. So the 4 elements are value, color hue, saturation, and temperature. All right, those are the 4 elements that really help you to manipulate your subject matter, to achieve what it is that you're trying to achieve. So I'll show you what the first one was. The first one that we explored was value. Okay, and not value in terms of, squinting and getting the right values that you're seeing. Beyond that. This is all beyond the basic. Okay, so first thing that we examined was what happens when you limit your value plan. In other words, that you only paint within 4 values, be it dark, medium, or light. And what happens when you expand and use all of the values, and what will that do to a painting? And so what happens is that when you think about the Impressionists painted within a very limited value. If you take a look at their work, it's all within a very limited value. And it makes for a very beautiful, luminous painting. You wouldn't think that being within a limited value would do that for you, but it does. And then you take a look at the great masters who painted these stark, contrasting value contrasts that created an incredible sense of light and an incredible sense of drama. They both created beautiful sense of light, but in very different ways. So here's an example of the first thing that we did. We took very simple shapes, and this one was done within a very limited value. So you can see that it creates, a limited value creates a beautiful sense of luminosity. And then we painted it through extreme values, going from the lightest to the darkest, and you can see that there's so much more drama in that type of painting. So all of this has to register, okay? I want drama in my painting. I have to do strong contrasts. I want quiet luminosity. I have to do limited values. So you see where this is all kind of helping you to figure out how to handle manipulating a painting. Okay, so this was the first activity. The second activity got into value in terms of light versus dark. And what does that do to a scene? So we switched to I did a group of birches in a forest. Well, after about 2 classes of that, I got yelled at and bitched at. We don't like these trees, let's do marshes. Okay, we're doing marshes. Much easier, I must admit. Very simple shapes. So here you can see that I did a very limited value, and I did it in a rather high tone, okay, which means lighter, okay? I generally paint darker. So for me, this was not easy. All right, so I went to a high tone and very limited value. So what it did was create a very peaceful scene. I then did the same scene, also in a limited value, only on the darker end of the spectrum. And again, you can see that it's a very peaceful scene. Very peaceful scene because the values are limited. So by limiting your values, even when you change from dark to light, it still maintains that very calm and easy kind of a feel. It just changes the time of day that you're doing it at. This was hard for me to paint, I have to tell you. I don't like the night. I find the night creepy. Okay, so I've never painted a night scene because I'm not inspired by it, I'm turned off by it. So when I was doing this, I have so many layers of pastel on this because I started with brighter colors and then I realized, no, that's not gonna work. And I just kept going at it and going at it until I figured out that in a night scene, your lightest light has to be a medium dark. You know, you can't have anything lighter than that. So that was a learning experience for me. And these are all color studies that probably took me about 45 minutes to hold together, but I plan a lot. But painting well means planning. And I hear from no, I'm an intuitive painter. Intuitive means from experience. Okay, so you've got to take that experience and you've got to play with that experience and think it through and to understand and plan where this painting's going to go. Once you get the whole plan figured out and you get to the easel, that's when the intuitive stuff starts, because you know where you're going. How on earth do you get any place if you don't know where you're headed? All right, so then we went into saturation. Saturation meaning intensity, chroma is another word for it. So, it's something that my students never, ever, ever, ever thought about. Neutrals to them were those things in the box that you never even looked at because they were so dull. Why would you look at those when you could look at the rest of them that have so much energy and excitement and chroma to them? But I thought that it was really important that my students understand what neutrals can do for you. Neutrals are a very, very important element in every painting. And so trying to decide what saturation you want to use in a painting is equally as important as dealing with the value of it. So here we're back at the birches, okay? So this is a totally neutral painting. Every color in this is grayed out. Okay, so again, it's a quiet painting, maybe after the rain or before the rain, or maybe early morning when it's very misty out. A neutral painting will be your easiest way to create a feeling of mist and fog. Okay, in mist and fog, there is no strong value contrast, and there is no strong, vibrant chromatic color. They're all neutral, and that's what creates that feeling of mist. So then I took it to the next level with saturation because I really wanted them to understand how neutrals are the key to allowing your more vibrant colors to sing. Okay, if you have a painting that's just all vibrant colors, it's like chaotic and crazy, and you don't know where to look. And a lot of times when you're painting a very vibrant color and you find a color and you say, oh my God, this is the perfect color, I can't believe I found the perfect color, and you put it down, it's like, that's not the perfect color. Well, it's probably because the color you're putting it next to is changing that color, and it's preventing that color from being the perfect color. So when you work with neutrals, and then, so this is the same scene as that one. In this one, however, I use the neutrals to allow my more chromatic colors to sing. So it was an important lesson for my students to learn. And they really flew with the neutrality stuff. For a good 6 months, almost every painting they did was neutral, which was like, they'd never painted in neutrals before. It was an exciting thing for them, but they also realized what neutrals will do. They'll make your brighter colors more alive, but they also create a sense of calm, of mist, of atmosphere. Everybody says they want to make atmospheric paintings. Well, if you want to paint an atmospheric painting, use neutrals. It will do it for you. So there's another perfect lesson on how to manipulate color. So then I decided enough with the neutrals. I want to go crazy with color. And there's a lot about this painting that I love. It's crazy. It's crazy, vibrant color. But what I love about this, and what became a very strong lesson for me and for my students, is that number one, the play of warm and cool of the same color family creates a vibrancy like you will never, ever see in any other painting. Every time I paint and I pull out my colors, I'll even show you what I mean here, okay? Like this is my box of colors for tonight. There's a warm blue, a cool blue, a warm green, a cool green. There's a warm yellow, a cool yellow. There's a warm pink and a cool pink. I always pick out a warm and a cool of the same value in every color. because when you layer them on top of each other in pastel, they create a luminosity like you've never seen before. So as you can see here, I mean, this looks cooler because of this. This looks warmer because of this, and together they look fabulous. You know, it taught me about playing with warm and cool next to each other, and how the cool makes the warm feel more warm and more alive. As crazy as this is, I like this.
Those are your colors.
Yeah, they are my colors. Okay, then I got into temperature with them because clearly temperature plays a huge part in it. And so I did this painting in mostly cools, okay? Whenever you're painting a painting, you have to have a dominant, not only a dominant color, but you have to have a dominant temperature. You don't want it to be all that temperature. You want it to be about 70 to 80% of the painting in that temperature, and then a little bit of the other temperature, because the other temperature makes that first temperature more. Okay, so here I did this painting in all cools. Now, I didn't start out trying to paint an icy, snowy scene. I wanted to paint a predominantly cool painting. But it turned out to be like a snow scene. You know, and it was like, wow, okay, it's a big lesson for me. Now, I took those exact same colors, but I switched the dominance. And I made the warm color the dominant color, and the cool color the non-dominant color. Look at the difference. These are exactly the same colors. I just changed the dominance of the temperature. This is a color study that I liked so much I framed it. The colors in this one just fill me with oozies. That purple against that rose color, and the gold with the orange is just beautiful. But look at the difference between, they are the exact same colors. So color temperature is a huge player in how to manipulate your paintings and make them do something that you're not seeing in your photograph. Okay, so here you've just seen studies just changing saturation level, changing temperature, changing values, in other words, limited versus strong contrast values, and values in terms of light versus dark. Nothing to do with the values that we always think about every time we paint. It's a different concept of value. Does anybody have any questions about this?
Good.
Maybe just mention briefly what temperature is about, in case someone doesn't know.
That's a good question, because it's the hardest question. Temperature is not listed as one of the elements of color. And the reason is because it cannot exist by itself. So, like, I'll have a student hold up a pastel and say to me, "Is this cool or warm?" Well, I can't answer that question, because if I put it next to a blue, I would say it's warm. If I put it next to this orange, I would say it's cooler. Color temperature is relative. It only has a temperature when it is compared to the color that it is next to. So you can't look at, like, there are times I look at this and I say this is such a cold color. You know, so it depends upon what it's next to as to whether it becomes a cool or a warm temperature. It can't just be, this one's warm, that one's cool. It's how they play next to each other that changes the temperature. That's why sometimes when you say, oh, I got the greatest color, it's gonna be the perfect color, and you put it down, and it's not doing anything that you wanted it to do, it's probably because the color next to it is changing either its temperature or its intensity, or, you know, so when you find a color that you love, and it's not working, don't say, oh, terrible color. Think, okay, if I change this color, I can make this color do what I want it to do. Okay, so it's learning how to manipulate color, both in value, in color families, in temperature, and in saturation. Those are the four important parts of planning a color strategy for a painting. And I only learned it by doing it. Okay, so what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to do this same scene, okay? Except I'm going to change it up. Now, I haven't done this before, so it may come out good, it may not come out good, but I'm certainly going to try. All right, so this is the photo reference that I'm going to use. All right, this is a sunset in summer. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to say, okay, you know what, fall's coming. I'm going to make this into a fall painting. And I think I'll make it into a fall painting 9 o'clock in the morning or so, when there's still some shadow and light and value contrast, because this type of a scene I feel like needs it. But it's still, it's still kind of cool out, but the sun's coming up and it's warming up a little bit, and the grasses are turning yellow and orange, and there's still green in them. But do you see how I'm thinking this through? Okay, I'm setting the scene for myself. Okay, it's crisp, so it's got cool colors. But the sun's coming up, it's got to have some warm colors. So I'm going to play with cool and warm of my blues, because I'm going to do a blue sky, which I never do really, but I'm going to do it tonight. I'm also thinking, okay, it's turning fall. It's not late fall. It's probably, middle of October type of time. And the grasses are turning yellow, but they're still a little bit green. But even some of the browns and reds are coming out in the leaves all around it. So this is kind of the scene that I'm setting for myself. I've thought it through. I don't want it to be very neutral. I want it to have a crisper feeling because it's a fall day. So I'm going to kind of keep my neutrals to a minimum. And I want to see shadow and light. Okay, so that's how I've set my scene up. So, here goes. Alrighty, first of all, let me explain to you that on my paper, just untape it over here. I have been reading a lot and hearing a lot of my friends painting with inks, acrylic inks. And I decided, all right, I'm in the experimental stage in my life with painting, I'll give it a try. So last week I bought some quinacridone acrylic ink in the gold color. So I did a painting the other day with it, and all I did was tone my paper with it. Now my next time I'm going to tone it darker. This is a little lighter than I want it to be. But the painting that I did, I loved how it came out. And it was glowing, and I don't know if it was glowing because of the quinacridone gold, or if it was glowing just because it was a good painting. But I'm going to keep trying with the quinacridone, because if I get a few of them that glow in a row, yeah, I got my answer.
Now, did you just put that on with a paintbrush?
Yeah, I mixed it a little with alcohol, and then I'll put more of it. I only got a little jar because I didn't know if I was going to like it, and it's not cheap. And so I kind of used it sparingly the first time, and I'm going to put more in the next time. I'm somebody who likes punches of color, not this kind of wishy-washy stuff. But we'll see. Alrighty, so one of the things also that has happened for me, and I don't know if it will happen tonight or not, but since I've gotten into this thought process of how to make a scene different from what I'm looking at here, I don't look at my photo very much anymore. And that was exactly what I wanted to happen. I did not want to be married to my photo anymore. I wanted to do something different with it. So, and it worked. Now, like I said, I can't promise you that will happen tonight, but if it does, yay. Okay. So I'm going to start first by laying in, this is going to annoy me. Okay. I'm going to lay in some, well, let me get this secured. I'm going to bring it up a little bit.
If people need to move, we have some more seats over here.
Okay. So I'm just going to lay in some exciting blue, cool blue color. And I'll also lay in some exciting warmer blue color. I'm going to go a little bit darker in the front. Whoops. I guess I'm not
It's good
using
to
the
see you.
the photo anymore.
No, that's fine.
So cool.
And I'm probably going to get into a little bit of gold stuff over here because I'm going to be painting this stuff gold. So I'm just laying in my big shapes right now. Okay, I'm going to go into this with I'm going to go into my mud. Again, so I'm using a cool and a warm. Always using a cool and a warm.
Now, what did you use for a warm? Is that like a?
It's a ready purple.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna go into it with a cooler purple now too. Go into the back with my sky. With the turquoise. Look at that beautiful color.
I'd be petrified to do that.
What was that?
I'd be petrified to put those colors up there.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, are you watercoloring?
No.
What,
Well, I do pastels.
You do pastels a lot, I know. Don't be afraid. And you can always wipe it off. Okay, and I'm gonna get in some deep olivey tones. When it comes to greens, I always tend to go into the olives. Into a pale blue again, a cool pale blue. Kind of. I noticed when I put a blue over an orange like that, it automatically became neutral. Okay, and so pushing it back like that, that's okay with me. All right, now watch what I'm gonna do. I'm going to knit all the colors together, just like nature does. I'm going to use a piece of pipe insulation. Got a real smooth feel to it. Okay. So what this does is it creates a fuzzy painting that then your job is to refine. What happens when you don't do this is that you end up painting in the lines. And it makes for a very stiff painting. Now notice, I'm also getting reflections in the water. A lot of people do alcohol under paintings and water under paintings. They put pastel on and they wet it down and as if they're painting with a paintbrush. And I find that this works better for me because it's now almost a painting. In 10 minutes, I almost have a painting already. This is the best thing ever.
How did you find that? Hardware store?
Yeah, you got it at Home Depot. It comes in an 8
No, but I
foot.
mean,
The thought of it?
Yeah.
I learned it in a workshop.
Wow.
I learned it in a workshop. Let me just fill this in because this doesn't have color here yet. I want to make sure that it does.
And I think it almost creates that mist too, or as if it was raining.
Exactly. And you can I could leave it now
Yeah.
and it could be a painting. But I'm not gonna. Alrighty, so where am I gonna head from here? I don't know.
That's always the question. That's always the question.
Yeah,
Where is it now?
where now? I'm gonna add a little bit of warmth down at the horizon. And I'm gonna lighten up in my sky up there a little bit. Not too light. See what happens in pastel? If you jump values and you go from a mid-tone to a too light or from a dark to a too light, that light color sits on top and it doesn't integrate well and it looks very chalky. So you have to be very careful in pastels to not jump values. Much better. So I'm one value lighter. In pastels, you have to incrementally lighten. go into it with a cool blue. You know, I've been doing a lot of demos lately, and I always pick my colors out ahead of time, and I leave them in a box. Well, I have 20 boxes around my studio, and I don't have the colors in here that I want. But I'll work it out. Do you see how much more beautiful that color is now because I put a cool color on top of a warm? Luminosity happens when you change temperatures, and it doesn't matter what medium you're in. Luminosity happens when you use the same value, opposing temperatures. Like, look, that sky really is pretty now. Okay. I think I'm gonna start down on the grasses. I wanna go into it with a brown. Color I have never used. And the reason why I'm using brown, especially up close in the front, is because when you're looking at the landscape up close, you're looking down at the earth. You see the earth underneath the planting, underneath the grass. So you got to get that, what's underneath, down first. This is not quite as close to me, so I'm not going to put too much of this over there, but I do want it over here. And notice I always keep my pastels separate. The ones that I'm using, pastel's all about layering. Notice that I changed the direction of my strokes because in pastel, you want the direction of your stroke to force the eye to go where you want it to go. So because I have grasses up here in the front, I'm just going to put a little bit of the grasses . In the front where you see the marks, you see the, and as it gets further back, you don't. Okay, I'm going to get in there and really work my Okay, so I'm going in with a cool and a warm purple. Into the mud. I'm going in with a real deep turquoise. I'm going to go in with my purpley red. It's not dark enough down there for my taste, so I'm going to go in with my favorite color in my whole box, which is eggplant. Really gets dark over in this area over here. I'm gonna find my photo.
Anyone have questions? We have a real human here.
No, I'm just,
Fascinated?
yes, it's like magic.
It's amazing to me when you added that line, my eye got drawn like right back into the distance to it.
Well, you know, you want the eye to go into the distance, but you don't want it to linger there. So I have to figure out how not to linger back there. gonna, actually, I think I'll do it with my finger.
We have paper towels if you want some.
Huh?
We have paper towels.
All right, I'll let you know when I need it. I want to smooth this out, it's too textured. The thing you have to always remember, I think, when you're painting is that you can't make it too precious. If you see, I'm not painstakingly putting in marks. I'm just putting them in marks. And, you know, it's starting to shape up. Okay, so I'm feeling like this is going more neutral than perhaps I had wanted it to. So I'm going to have to start to neutralize the water a little bit to work with the neutralized grasses. So, how will I do that? Let's see. I'm gonna go into it with a little bit of this. This can become a very dangerous tool. You can rely on it too much. Okay, so I'm starting to get reflection feelings in here, and that's making me happy. As well as neutralizing everything. When I am doing this, I am not blending colors, I am moving color. There's a big difference. If I were blending, I'd be going back and forth to make the colors work together to become one color, and that is not what my intention is here. The water down in the front is always darker.
Don't cry. Don't cry.
Okay, this blue is not working at all. I have to get it out of there.
Which one? The middle one?
Yeah, this blue right
The
here.
turquoise. Oh, that.
That's
purple.
Yep, the turquoise is working.
Yeah, that looks beautiful.
Yeah, the turquoise is working. It's the other color that is not.
Why did you say it's not?
What?
Why did you say it's not working?
It's just not. I don't need, I don't like it. So what color do I want to use instead? All right, so I'm gonna hold a color up to it and see how I like that better. I don't know if it's the right one. That's better. I don't like that either. If I layer the turquoise over it, I might like it. Let's see what happens. That's better. Now I have to get a little purple in the sky because the water reflects the sky. Just put too light. This isn't coming out at all like I was thinking it was gonna do. Oh, I hate that. So I'm gonna go in. I have a brush here somewhere. There it is. If you don't like something in pastel, you take it out. Oh, I forgot to put my tray back up here. My dust tray. I'm gonna go. You know, it's strange. When you paint, I have my box set up like, and I use it over here. And I know where everything is, and I go for it. It's not in the way I paint, and it's like odd. I'm not seeing my colors the way I want to be seeing them. It's starting to lighten up a little. Way too chromatic. Let's try this one.
Now, how light of a touch do you have, Shelley?
I don't have a real light touch. But I don't have a heavy touch either.
You get quite a few layers on there.
Say that again?
You have quite a few layers.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of paper is that?
It's sanded paper.
It is,
Yeah. So it's an archival sanded paper.
okay.
So it does receive a lot of layers.
It does.
But if you go into it with a very heavy hand, it fills up much more quickly than you want.
Oh, it would eat up a lot of.
A lot of pastel. Yeah, it would. I think I'll go back in with a little bit of this blue. Love this blue and turquoise together is so beautiful. Now I'm really whispering here.
Okay, I'm used to covering your view.
Okay. So as I go through my box, I'm looking for a new value of darker but cool and warm of the same value. Because in pastels you have to layer the same values.
So you're gonna do more landscapes now or not?
Yes, I'm doing a whole series now of seagrasses, which I'm very, very excited about. So you can see where it's starting to take shape.
I think it's time to applaud.
I know. Yeah.
with a redder purple and a little bit lighter value. I think I'll try it with this one again and see what happens. I think I have to go through all of those boxes that are hanging out in my studio and start putting them back into my van, into my box. That's terrible. Taking it out just a little bit did good.
Yeah. The power of the brush.
Go lighter in the sky. Oh, that's not doing it. things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lighten this up in the back a little bit. There. It's beautiful.
That turquoise in the water just makes it look so rich.
Yeah. Turquoise is like my favorite color. Oh, I think I'm done. So clearly it doesn't look anything like that. And I'm not sure that it necessarily conveys where I was headed because it's a little bit duller of a day than I was planning on. But I'm okay.
I like the way the the sun shines in the distance there, just like it does.
Mm-hmm.
It's like something might be more in shadow, but the sun is there.
Right, the sun is always in that, like, that little strip of grasses in the back, which is making me feel like now I need to put just a little bit more of that in. There you go. Yeah, it's a duller painting than I was headed for.
Yeah, but you never know.
Well, that's the point. You gotta go with the flow. I like the colors. I like the way they're playing together. I like the feeling of what it's all about. So there you have it.
It's beautiful.
So where would you say you are with the saturation and the values and?
I'm pretty low saturation here, to be honest with you. And I don't have a strong value contrast here, but I do have some value contrast. I say I probably have about 4 or 5 values in there,
Okay.
which is not unlimited.
What do you call a limited value? How many?
Limited would be maybe 4 tops.
Okay.
4 tops, absolutely. where you put them back, where you end up with a mess.
What pastels are you using? Cherry Ludwig?
Oh, I have every different brand. You know, in pastel, every brand of pastel does a different job. So some are softer and creamier, some are coarser and drier, some have much more pigment in them than others, some have edges, some don't. You know, it's just, so part of what I'm thinking when I paint is not only, okay, I need a darker value, I need a cooler color. I'm also thinking, I need a Terry Ludwig, I need a Sennelier, I need a Malvision. I'm thinking of a brand that will do the job that I need it to do.
Like going to a candy store when you buy.
Oh my God. I went to the International Association of Pastel Societies convention. And they have there a shopping market.
Oh, God.
And you go in there and just all the brands are there. And you're just like, it's like crazy. And one company was introducing a new pastel. And you walked in and they gave you an empty box, like with these little slots in it. And they said, fill it. It's yours. Because they wanted to promote the brand. And every time you walked in, doesn't matter what time of the day, what day of the week you did it, every time you walked in, they gave you a box.
Oh, nice.
So you walked out of there with like ton, and you say to them, I already had, nah, take another one, take another one. And it was,
After they bring an empty suitcase.
right, it was amazing. And then they have a raffle there, and so I bought a few raffle tickets. And the way I've learned about raffle tickets is you put them all in the box of the thing that you want. You don't put two here, two there. And I walked away with 2 enormous boxes of pastels. So I went home with a crazy amount of new product.
Oh my gosh.
It was fabulous.
Yeah.
And because I have so many pastels, I have to like juggle. And how am I going to fit them all in here?
Do you draw the medium?
No. I only do this. You know, I taught myself how to paint. And I started at first with oil paints. So I bought a book, and taught myself how to oil paint, and did a couple of oil paintings. And at the first Franklin Art Association show that they ever had, I put in my 2 oil paintings, and I put in my 2 oil paintings, and I won first and second prize. And I said, oh, I must be doing something right. And then I went to a demo of a pastel painter at the Franklin Art Association. And the second I saw her paint in pastels, I said, that's what I need to do. So I bought another book. And I bought a bunch of pastels. And I was having knee surgery at the time, so it gave me something to do every day. I just set up a little studio in my breakfast room, and every day would go through a chapter in the book, and by the end, I did a painting. And I put it into the next Franklin Art Association show, and I won first prize again. So that's what that's when they say, and the rest is history. But I owe an awful lot to the Franklin Art Association. The local art associations are the best things ever. They teach you. It's where I learned.